What's up, Chaos Shinobi here. If you enjoy the story, like and subscribe so I can make more awesome videos for you guys. Chapter 1. Something's wrong. Naruto reached and clutched his heart. It was 9:30 p.m. and Shisui still hadn't returned. He left at 4 and said he'd be back in a few hours, 9 at the latest. For some reason he had a bad feeling since Shisui left. Now it felt like part of his heart died and he didn't know why there was a sinking feeling. He walked into the dojo and began training. That usually got his mind off of anything bothering. He had been so happy from mastering his genjutsu the night prior and was already trying to imagine ways to build from it. Sadly, it was an already made jutsu, so the only building was the fact he can do it without physical contact. Also, the framework of the jutsu wasn't one he could manipulate. It was just an illusion of what someone feared. The more chakra then a situation appears where someone's deepest fear is realized, like watching someone they love die. That was as far as it went. He had been reading that true genjutsu masters, however, don't just use the genjutsu that anyone uses. In fact, their imagination is what powers it. Naruto questioned if he could reach that level, but honestly he wasn't sure. He would certainly try. If Shisui believed in him, he wouldn't let him down. The doorbell rang and it brought Naruto out of his thoughts and training. He left the dojo and went towards the front door with a towel and water. He was surprised to see who was at the door. Itachi-san, Uncle Kakashi. Gigi, what's going on? Naruto asked, puzzled. The faces they had. Well, the two he could see had a sadness. Itachi was filled with regret. Kakashi's lone eye showed that he was upset and hated that Naruto had to deal with this. Guys, is something wrong? I've had a bad feeling for the past 7 hours. Mi-san said he'd be back 2 hours ago at the latest. Naruto now was feeling the sinking go down further and further. It was like someone was squeezing his heart and it was pulled down towards his stomach. Naruto-kun, Shisui is dead, Itachi said with tears now coming out again. He couldn't contain it. He tried so hard but felt impossible. No, you're lying. He wouldn't leave, no. Naruto screamed out, crying his anger and pain, his sadness. He felt empty and crushed. The one who was always there, the one always by his side and supported him, believed in him. No way, he was gone. Every single memory with him came crashing back. The times he chased Shisui around the house, their coloring, his teachings, cooking with him and playing with him, everything played back in front of him. No. It could be. Suddenly they saw his eyes glow red. They were worried that this news made him snap and the QB was taking over, but were surprised when his Sharingan was spinning wildly. It can't be, Itachi said as he watched Naruto's eyes. Sure enough, the Tamo started growing in size and changing shape. They formed triangles that connected at the bases with the tips reaching the sides of his eye. Now there were 6 triangles within his eyes, forming a hexagon in the centers with a black circle on the center of that, and a thin black ring encircled the middles of the triangle. His Mangekyo flared to life, and when he closed his eyes to cry, he grabbed his head and dropped to his knees. He looked back up one last time in hopes they were for some reason lying to him, but only saw their sadness in the situation. His eyes had gone back to normal and the Mangekyo wasn't there anymore. Finally he couldn't take it anymore and collapsed. Lord Third, what do we do? Asked Kakashi. I'm not sure. I'll stay with him. Shisui wanted me to give him something. I'll give it to him in the morning. You sure, Itachi? Yes, Lord Third. I also need to see about his eyes. If it was a true awakening or just a flare like how it was when I first unlocked the Sharingan. Understood, Itachi. I am deeply sorry. If you need anything, let me know, Hiruzen said and disappeared in a puff of smoke. I know you're not one of many words, Captain Kakashi, but I'm going to be fine. We are shinobi, our lives are to endure. You need me, don't hesitate to call. Thank you, Captain. Itachi was now left alone with Naruto. He took him to his room and laid him on his bed. His tears were falling freely and wondered how he could follow Shisui's wishes. He was his strength and idol and best friend. Now he only had Sasuke and now Naruto. How would he go on? The next morning Naruto woke up a bit groggy. He looked around and saw Itachi beside him. Then the memories of last night came into mind and he started crying. The day before he thought today would be the happiest day he ever had. Hey there, Naruto-kun. How are you? How are you? That's what you have to say. Do you know what it's like to? He looked down in shame. This was Itachi. He and Shisui were the best of friends and of course he knew how it felt to lose someone close to you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. It's okay. I know how you're feeling. Does it ever go away? The pain? I don't know. All I know is that every day it helps you get stronger so that you can honor their memory," he said, putting his hand on Naruto's shoulder. I was finally making him proud. He looked to the picture on his dresser of him and Shisui. I was starting to really get to where he always believed. Naruto-kun. He was always proud of you. He always talked about you and how you lit up his world, Itachi said, smiling with a tear. Look. He wanted me to give you some things. He took out a rectangular box and a scroll. In the box had Shisui's tattoo. Naruto had watched him clean and sharpen it all the time. He smiled at seeing it, and held its handle and rubbed the blade. Itachi could only smile. He knew that getting the sword meant a lot. The scroll had a couple fire jutsu and 2 more genjutsu along with a note. Naruto, now that you can leave the house, figured it's time to start your ninjutsu training. The first is the Great Fireball Jutsu. It's a clan jutsu and specialty. Practice these over a river until you master them. The next is the Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Now to increase your genjutsu arsenal, the first is a C rank called Demonic Illusion, False Surroundings. You can change the appearance of the objects around you. At its highest level you can make the surrounding area completely change in a sense. The second is an A rank called Bringer of Darkness, where the victim no longer can see and is in a world of darkness. There is no breaking it unless someone else breaks it for them. It will be harder to learn since it's the highest ranked jutsu you've ever learned, but I know you can do it. If you need help you can always ask me or Itachi. Happy birthday Naruto. Naruto had tears streaming down his eyes. Shisui always gave the most useful gifts, Itachi said, breaking the silence. I'm going to go train Itachi-ni-san. I'll see you around. One more thing Naruto-kun, can you activate your Sharingan for me? Sure. Naruto did as he was told. Now try channeling more chakra into it. Naruto tried but there was no change. His EH remained the normal 3-Tamo Sharingan. Thank God, looks like you can't activate it yet. That buys more time. Why did you want me to put more chakra into my Sharingan? No reason. Just curious. Hey Naruto-kun, I know you train daily non-stop, but now that you're allowed to see the village, would you like to? No. Why not? I don't really care anymore. I was excited before but now I just want to get stronger to make Ni-san proud. Itachi nodded. He wasn't going to argue with him, and if he didn't want to do it then he wouldn't force him. Naruto-kun, I have an idea. Want to learn something Shisui and I developed together? Naruto jumped and was ready to go. Where to? Itachi chuckled. He took him to a clearing in the Forest of Death and had him watch as he dispersed in a flock of crows and reform elsewhere. Whoa. So like a clone, except without just vanishing or smoke as indication of a shadow clone. It's crows. Fascinating. That's not all Naruto-kun. We came up with this out of trying to improve the substitution jutsu. This can also be applied to genjutsu. Naruto got all giddy and started learning. The funny thing was, the crow clones work just like shadow clones but at half the chakra cost and reform wherever without the cost of chakra. The only chakra spent is the original creation of said clone. 4 hours later. He really does learn remarkably fast. Itachi thought as be overlooked Naruto training with the crows. Already he was implementing them in various ways and figuring out how he could use them in genjutsu. Alright Naruto-kun, let's get something to eat, okay? Okay. Can we go see Gigi? Sure. Hokage Tower. Happy birthday Naruto-kun. Thanks. How's it going Gigi? Just a lot of work. What have you been doing today? Hiruzen was curious since Naruto had gotten terrible news just the night before and was worried for him. Aw, Itachi-ni-san taught me how to use crows for jutsu. Can you show me? Hi. Naruto brought his right hand up, closes in a fist except his index and middle finger were pointing upwards, and then crows flew together and formed a clone of himself. He then had it disperse and reform on the other side of Itachi. He formed another clone and had it stand beside him. They then all dispersed and Hiruzen watched slightly confused when he realized what Naruto did. He chuckled and turned around. Very good Naruto-kun. So you can make clones and use it in genjutsu? Yes, and in the substitution jutsu. You learned a lot today Naruto-kun. I'm impressed. How about at 5, we go for ramen? Thank you very much. Can Itachi-ni-san and Uncle Kakashi and Yagao-sensei come? Sure. More the merrier. See you later Gigi. Itachi-ni-san said something about meeting somebody. Okay Naruto-kun, see you two later. The two walked out and started walking through the village heading south. So Itachi-ni-san, who am I meeting? My little sister. Itachi was smiling. In truth they would have met 2 years ago but then Naruto was attacked. After about 30 minutes of walking they came to the entrance of the Uchiha compound. There was a large gateway and inside had like its own mini village. There were shops, restaurants and houses of course. In the center of the compound was the police headquarters, and a few blocks from that was where Itachi's family lived. So what's she like? Itachi smiled thinking about her. She's a little shorter than you, kind and caring, not quite as goofy as you, but she is really smart. Sounds interesting. They were walking through the compound and Naruto noticed some looks of malice. The clan didn't recognize him since it was his first time in. They obviously didn't seem to like outsiders in the compound. This puzzled Naruto. Kill them. Kill them all. Huh? Who said that? Itachi looked at Naruto curiously. He didn't hear anyone say anything. Kill them. It will end the pain. Kill them? Why? How will it end the pain? Now Itachi got worried. He had a few theories and none were good. The worst of them was that Kiba is trying to take advantage of Naruto being in sadness. Naruto started clutching his head and was making it seem like he wanted whatever he was hearing to quiet down. Since it was in his head, nothing fixed it. Itachi shook him out of it and looked at him. His eyes were still black, but the sadness reappeared in them. Obviously he had been trying to bury it, but it seems that whatever was going on brought it out once again. You okay, Naruto-kun? Yes. Let's just keep going. Okay, well, if you... I know, Nissen. I know you're always there. They continued on the path for a while longer when they came upon a large house, fitting for the clan head. There was large front yard and backyard. They also had a small dojo and an OJT door training ground for sparring or shuriken and kunai training. Nissen called out a running Sasuke. Hey there, I'd like you to meet somebody. Who? Last time you introduced me to someone was Shisui-san. Yes. Itachi was saddened hearing the name but didn't show it. Somehow Naruto didn't show it either. It's his little cousin. They saw each other as brothers, as they are all they have. His name is Naruto. Naruto's heart cracked some more when he heard Itachi saying the relationship of him and Shisui, especially when he mentioned that they were the only family each other had. Now he was alone. Naruto-kun, this is my little sister Sasuke. Itachi stepped aside to let her see who the new kid was. She noticed that he had the jet black hair like all Uchiha. However, he had fiery red highlights in it. On top of that, some of the blackest eyes she ever seen, which she couldn't help but stare into. He now regularly wore the black sleeveless hoodie with orange t-shirt, and black wristbands and black shorts, with black sandals. She had jet black hair that reached the base of her neck and bangs that framed the side of her face that reached eye level. She wore a navy blue Uchiha crested quarter-sleeve blouse, black pants and black sandals. Hello Sasuke-chan, Naruto said with a wave. She didn't respond. She just stood there. She didn't know why she didn't say anything but stood nonetheless. Something wrong? Naruto asked. Huh? And no, I'm sorry. I'm Sas. I mean hi. Itachi's eyebrow shot up and he was confused on what was going on. He looked between the two, then laughed a little to himself but left it at that. So Sasuke, it's Naruto-kun's birthday today. Do you want to come with us to get dinner with Lord Third? There will be a few other friends of mine. Happy birthday, Naruto. Sure. I'll come. Thank you Sasuke-chan. Naruto looked to Itachi and pretty much asked, what now? You two get to know each other a bit. I'm going to run inside real quick. Itachi left the two alone as he went into the house. Naruto and Sasuke just stood there for a bit in silence. Naruto looked into the sky and decided to say something, no matter how stupid it sounded. Sunni's weather, huh? Naruto said with a straight face. Sasuke laughed and that brought a smile to Naruto's face. Yeah sure, it's alright. You're a goof just like Shisui-san. I can see the similarities now. Naruto looked down. Yeah. Will you start the academy next year? Yup. Have you been training? Little bit. Nissen trains me every now and then in Shuriken Jutsu and Taijutsu. Oh okay. Huh. I never learned Shuriken Jutsu. We were going to start now that I mastered his Kenjutsu. What did you learn? She asked, curious of his skills. I learned Taijutsu, the interceptor fist, Kenjutsu, Genjutsu, working on ninjutsu. That's a lot. If you help me with Kenjutsu, I'll help your Shuriken Jutsu. You got a deal, Naruto said with a smile, although he was getting more and more sad as the day continued. Everything had to be a reminder of Shisui. You know, you've got some interesting hair. I don't know about that. And an interesting face, with those whisker-like marks. Don't know about it either. You don't know your parents? No, Naruto said looking away. Oh, I'm sorry. She didn't realize that he never knew his parents. And she did start feeling that he seemed to hide something, but she didn't know. It's okay. Hey you guys, you ready to go? Yes. What took you so long, Nissen? Sasuke said. Oh nothing. Just had to put something away and prepare stuff for a mission tomorrow night. He was partly truthful. He was putting something away. He was still wiping Shisui's eyes away since he still had them from the previous night. He had seen from the house that they had been talking, and was happy they would maybe form a bond. They were walking to Ikiraku's and Naruto was quietly dealing with the voice in his head. Itachi noticed that Naruto became increasingly more quiet and distant. This was worrying him, but he couldn't do anything since his sister was present. Itachi didn't want Naruto to succumb to the feelings since they'd be manipulated by the Kyuubi. The Sharingan on its own heightened his emotions, making his sadness and pain even worse. If the Kyuubi starts adding to that, then there is no way he could expect Naruto to remain sane. "Hey, happy birthday Naruto," said Yugao. "Kakashi, Hiruzen." Naruto nodded and smiled in appreciation. He sat in the center with Sasuke beside him with everyone else around them. They all talked and he updated them on his progress within his training. Everyone was impressed and surprised at how he seemed to bounce back like nothing from last night. So far only Itachi knew that it wasn't so. He hadn't been given a chance to inform the others as he was with Naruto the whole time. He planned to inform them after this. They ate then started giving gifts to Naruto. Yugao gave Naruto a shoulder sheath similar to Shisui's except it was black. Hiruzen gave 50 shuriken and 25 kunai. Kakashi gave him books on ninjutsu and finjutsu as well as a scroll on some ninjutsu he could learn over time. Kakashi knew he would dive head-on into training. It was what he did when his father committed suicide. He figured he might as well help keep him occupied with the books and knew he'd spend a lot of time working on complete mastery over jutsu. He was similar to Minato in that sense, always working a jutsu until it was fully mastered until the point it couldn't be pushed any further. Hiruzen knew Naruto was to start his shuriken training and Yugao knew about Shisui gifting his Tato. Her gift was mainly out of the sentiment of him. Itachi then presented his without presenting it. He told him he would teach him a genjutsu for the Sharingan that Shisui taught him and developed on his own, saying that it's only right Naruto learns as well, it can be a family thing. And he knew Shisui was going to teach him it eventually. "Thank you all. I really appreciate this. You guys mean a lot to me." Now the sadness in his voice started coming out, but he was masking it well. They all wondered how he could gold it all and so well. Everyone but Sasuke noticed. She only just met him after all and doesn't know how he was. Naruto then got up. "I'm going to go get training done. See you guys around." He then shunshined away. It was time he mastered it since he started practicing that as his first chakra requiring technique. "Man, does he like always train?" Sasuke asked. Everyone more or less nodded. Shisui trained him every day from morning till evening when he'd collapse. Itachi said, "That reminds me, where was he? You said they are like brothers." Everyone froze. They didn't know what to say since only they knew it hadn't been publicly known yet. "He's on a mission for a few weeks," said Kakashi. "Oh, okay, I guess." She shrugged it off and everyone sighed in relief. 1 year later. A lot had happened in the year. Naruto's friendship with Sasuke grew, however he became really reserved as well. It was made out that Shisui committed suicide rather than killed. The tensions in the village in Uchiha grew exponentially. Kakashi now no longer was a full-time Anbu. He does Anbu missions every now and then but mainly serves as a Jonin leader. However, he hasn't passed a single Genin team yet. Itachi had become the youngest Anbu captain ever since Kakashi, and was developing a fearsome reputation. Yugao continued her Anbu duties, being a Hokage guard. Sasuke and Naruto were going to begin the academy in a couple months and she looked forward to it. Naruto seemed to be impassive about it, but he did look forward to being a ninja. Somehow Naruto's status as Jinchuriki got out and all the adults despised Naruto. This caused Naruto's thoughts to constantly agitate him in trying to get him to kill everyone around him. He kept it under control, but it did force him to want to seclude himself more, hardly leaving his house, and if he did it was mainly to the Forest of Death. Naruto finally mastered the bow to flicker technique and can jump repeatedly in a fight without losing control. When he uses his Sharingan, then he has no issues using it. He made a decision early on that he didn't want to always rely on the Sharingan. He mastered the fire jutsus that Shisui gave him and does them with a single sign. It really didn't take long, but he did start the jutsu that Kakashi gave but was still trying to master them. They were fire since he never got checked for other affinities yet. They were the Dragon Flame Bomb, Fear of Breath, and Great Dragon Flame. They were all B rank and as such was taking him a little while to master them. Itachi had taught him Shisui's Mirror Heaven and Earth Change Genjutsu and Naruto mastered that. His arsenal was growing ever so slowly. His Shuriken Jutsu became extremely great as Sasuke helped him and he helped her Kenjutsu. Over the year he spent a lot of time in the Forest of Death. As such he met Shikamaru Nara, heir to the Nara clan. The clan had ownership of the forest as it was their sacred land. Naruto learned pretty quick how smart Shikamaru was, even though he was quite lazy. He really liked him and they began forming a friendship. Itachi, after teaching Naruto the genjutsu, had started distancing himself from everybody. It confused everyone aside from Naruto since he was always training. Sasuke was sad about it, as such she spent time training in what Naruto would tell her to strengthen her kenjutsu. Hokage office. Lord 3rd. Yes, Itachi-kun. The clan plans to make its move in a week. We need to make a plan. If we wait, the results will be devastating for everyone. I understand. What do you propose? I'm not sure, but as things play out we may have to strike. Are you sure about this? Yes, in fact, it will be me to do it. I'll wipe out the clan, pin it on me. Never mention the plans they had for Aku and take care of Sasuke and Naruto-kun. Itachi. I don't know if I could ever ask such a thing. You aren't. I'm volunteering. You must promise to take care of those two. Naruto-kun needs some light in his life. Right now he is fighting the darkness within him, and at this rate he will lose. How do you know? In order to quiet his inner demons, he's forced himself into seclusion, only talking to people if they come to him. He needs love. Lord 3rd. Hiruzen nodded and understood. The curse of the Uchiha and their hatred grow from loss and pain. Every day that grows within Naruto, and with the Kyuubi's manipulation added on top, it's a recipe for disaster. Is there anything else you ask of me? Yes. One last thing. Naruto is the youngest Uchiha to awaken the Mangekyo now. As such, when he gains the ability to activate it, he'll begin to lose his vision. When that happens, implant these eyes into him. They're Shisui's, and when you do it, he will gain his Mangekyo ability as well as fix his eyesight for good. Hiruzen looked at Itachi shocked. However, that's not all. The Sharingan will no longer increase his pain and sadness once he has the eternal Mangekyo. It no longer will affect him negatively. You must wait till his vision begins depleting though. Okay, Itachi-kun. I will do as you've instructed and I'll watch over the two of them. Thank you. I need to prepare for tonight's mission then. You'll do it tonight? Yes. If we wait longer it gets harder. I'm going to have Sasuke head to Naruto-kun's for some training while I carry out the mission. Okay. Report to me when you've finished your mission. Hi. Hiruzen felt terrible that things came to this. If Danzo never interfered, then maybe things would never have come to this. Naruto wouldn't be sinking into darkness and would still have Shisui with him. Danzo always ruined everything. Maybe it was time to stop overlooking him and to finally get rid of him. The situation was the final straw. Hey Sasuke, Itachi said, looking at his sister performing sword strikes. Ni-san. She gave him a tight hug. He reciprocated and hugged her as tight as possible. He looked at her smile in her eyes and memorized every bit since this would be his last time with her. Go over to Naruto-kun's. Okay. Why? We hadn't planned anything. I know, but he could really use a friend. Plus I know you'd love some more training and maybe a spar for kenjutsu. She couldn't deny that. She was at a point where she felt like she was plateauing in her growth, so maybe some work with him would get her back on the rise. She did also realize how he was seen less and less these days. Okay, I'll go over there. He's currently in the forest of death. You can stay a few days if it is what it takes. Alright, see you later, Ni-san. She gave one last hug before getting a bag of clothes and taking her katana. She even grabbed a tub of sweet dumplings to eat with him. I'm sorry Sasuke. It's for the best. Take care of each other. Sasuke ran through the village and was trying to quickly get to the training area that Naruto used all the time. She was excited because he was very helpful in improving her skills, and even though he got more distant, he was always warm around her. She didn't know what entirely was going on, but she could tell he was hurting. She had found out about Shisui's suicide and figured that could be the cause. Maybe if she spent more time with him, he could be happier. When Itachi said he needed a friend, she figured now would be her best chance to make an impact. Maybe I should ask him about that technique he uses that lets him teleport. She continued running for 30 more minutes. She came to the entrance and could smell smoke. She got really curious now and ran at top speed to the clearing he usually was always at. She noticed that the closer she got, the more charred the trees and ground were. This was extremely interesting and she continued going. When she came to the clearing, she saw Naruto, Sharingan activated and panting heavily. All around him was ash and fire. Embers were everywhere. It was obvious that there were some serious fire jutsu being thrown around. She noticed in anger that he carried and he released another fire jutsu. With one sign he made the great dragon flame, and she watched in awe as he made a dragon made of fire. He started making it move to his will as it danced around in the air before he lost control and the jutsu blew up. Now it made sense why the area was reduced to ash and char. He was angry, but it wasn't for for messing up. He seemed to expect it almost as he continued practicing. She never seen him truly train before and she was seeing how he got so strong. He just kept going non-stop until he could no longer. If he did this every day then it made sense. But how would he be able to recover for the next day's training? Surely he'd be so exhausted that he couldn't train for a few days. It made no sense. So many questions loomed over Naruto. She noticed that Naruto stopped and took a few breaths. Then based on how his cheeks moved, he was smiling. "Sasuke-chan, come over here," Naruto said, turning around with a smile. The anger she had seen him with seemed to be gone all of a sudden. She ran over to him and they hugged with a greeting. She said she planned to remain with him to train for a few days, if he was okay with it, to which he agreed to. "Hey, now I can show you a Mukenjutsu." "Yes, when do we start?" She was excited to learn a new skill and she liked that Naruto always got straight to work when helping her. No matter what he was doing, he would always stop and help her out in whatever she needed. "Right now you will learn something Nisan taught me a few years ago." The thought of Shisui always hurt, but he was trying to learn to not be crippled by it. "It's called the Uchiha style, Dance of the Sun Halo." With this Kenjutsu he started going through the motions by unsheathing his Tanto and brow his left hand to the hilt. You coat the blade in fire chakra and with each slash a wave of fire will be unleashed. You make it look so easy. I know you'll get it in no time. You use a katana. The wave of fire will be larger than my own since I use a Tanto. There are methods to make it stronger or bigger or whatever, but that is solely on the user's mastery. "Hey Naruto." "Yes?" "When did you awaken your Sharingan?" "I was 4. Her eyes went wide as she realized that he's had it for as long as he could mold chakra. "Is that how you learn so fast?" "No Sasuke-chan. The Sharingan is an amazing tool but I don't use it to learn jutsu. I just work it non-stop until I have true mastery." You see, it is true that with the Sharingan you can copy and memorize jutsu, but that doesn't equal mastery. She could only nod as every jutsu or technique that Naruto uses, he activates with either only one hand sign or none at all. "I do like using the Sharingan, I just want to make sure that I myself am strong so that if I'm too tired for the Sharingan or whatever, I won't be helpless." "You're right. So what's the first step?" They trained together for a few hours and the sun had started going down. They sat under a non-burnt tree together and she shared the sweet dumplings with him. He looked to her. "You know, something I've realized about using this technique is that we mold fire chakra in our hand." He formed flames within his hands. "What do you think we could do with it aside from just putting it to a blade?" I'm not sure. I only just learned that was possible." "I'm still annoyed. I can only do one slash and then the blade loses the fire," she said with her arms crossed. "Hiya, you'll get it soon." "Took me a few days." What if every jutsu could be done like this? Like it's just gathering chakra, molding it, then giving it form from imagination." He stood up and proceeded to try a great fireball with no sign at all. "I should be able to just will the fireball, right?" He tried to do it and it actually worked. Just was a super weak version. I guess you're right Naruto. More practices and you'll never have to waste time making hand signs for that jutsu again," she said with extreme adoration for the fact that here was someone, her age, doing something no one does. Itachi vs Uchiha. As night was coming, Itachi geared up. He put on his ample gear, sheathed his sword and put his mask on. He looked into the mirror for a bit with his Sharingan activated and watched as he activated his Mangekyo. "With these eyes, I will walk the path of darkness. To keep them safe I will endure." Itachi shunshined out of the house and was on top of an electrical pole. He was crouched down and watched as the streets had gotten pretty clear since people were turning in for the night. He jumped down and brought his sword out. Running through the streets he quickly killed the unsuspecting clan members that had been walking. Jumping through each building, he killed everyone. For a little while it was easy since no one knew of what was going on. After the first block he knew there was only 5 more to go. The police force started becoming aware and now he had to fight. He knew that there was no Uchiha alive that could defeat him currently, but he wouldn't get arrogant. A group of 5 charged at him. He engaged in a sword fight and started taking them out one by one with acrobatic movements. He continued going through the buildings killing more. He came to a house that he was dreading. It was Azumi's. He started going towards the door when her voice called him from behind. "Itachi-kun, what's happening right now?" She was scared. He gripped his sword tightly then turned around. She saw the blood on him and his blade. She couldn't believe it. "No. You couldn't have." "Tsukuyomi," Itachi said when he made eye contact with her. "In the illusion of is that is granted by the Mangekyo, He had her live out her entire life. She would go on to be married to him and they'd be happy with a family until she reached old age and passed away. When the illusion was released, her death within that world transferred to the real world. If the mind dies, the person goes. He held her in his arms. "Thank you for loving me," he said with a tear falling. He closed her eyes and laid her down gently. He had to keep going. The interesting thing was that despite all the time that went on within the illusion, it seemed that no time passed at all in the real world. He continued on the massacre. In the matter of 2 hours if he owned but 2 were dead. The ones that would be the hardest for him to kill. His parents. He came to the house and began to quietly walk through. He was wondering where in the house they may be. Suddenly he was brought out of his thoughts. "We're in Itachi. We aren't going to fight," Fugaku said. He looked to the great room. He opened the door and he saw Fugaku and Makoto resting on their knees facing away from him. "I don't wish to enter a fight to the death, my son. Unlike you, our pain will end in an instant," Fugaku said. Itachi approached them and prepared to deliver the last 2 strikes of the night. He was shaking and he began to cry. He never hesitated like this before and wasn't able to bring himself to finish the job. "You truly are a kind boy, Itachi. Although we may well have had the same vision, I am proud of you, my son. You must see your path through. I just ask that you take care of Sasuke." "I will, father." Itachi cried and screamed as he swung his sword, killing both his parents instantly. He dropped to his knees and cried his eyes out. He just slaughtered his clan, killed his lover and parents. All for the village and the safety of Sasuke and Naruto. He got back up and shunned into Hiruzen's office. "It is done, Itachi-kun. How long do I have?" "You'll have 3 days to get as far as you can." "What will you do?" "I've learned of an organization that will take me in. I'll be constantly sending you intel through my journeys." "I hate that you had to do this, but I am thankful to you for protecting the village." Itachi just nodded. "Please watch over Naruto and Sasuke." "I will, Itachi-kun." "Thank you, Lord Third." "No need to thank me. It's the least I can do for you. If anything happens to them, I will come back and I'll kill everyone involved." With that he dispersed in a flock of crows and was gone. Itachi in 3 days would be marked as a traitor for killing his clan. Naruto walked through his house and came across a room that pained him every time he passed it. He hadn't entered the room since the night he learned of Shisui's death. He just couldn't bring himself to enter it. His hand shook as he reached for the note but suddenly dropped it as he couldn't bring himself to go in. A few tears began to drop and his eyes were knitted tightly shut. Suddenly someone grabbed his hand gently and placed the other hand just above his elbow as a small hug. He thought he was the only one awake. It was 2 a.m. after all. He never got much sleep these days and as such would normally go train in either the field out back or the dojo or in the forest of death. But since Sasuke had been sleeping in the guest room, he didn't want to wake her nor just leave her alone in the house. "It was his room, wasn't it?" she said somberly. "Yeah." She then rested her head on his shoulder. Without speaking a word he understood that she was assuring him that she would support him no matter his choice. He opened the door and he slowly walked in. She kept his pace and never left his side. The room was made up with not a single thing out of place. Had it not been for the dust that gathered up over the year and a half, it would have been perfectly clean as it was obvious that it was always well kept. Naruto walked throughout the room and noticed pictures of him and Shisui together. On the same photo he placed his index and middle fingers over Shisui in the photo. "Hey Naruto." There looks to be notes of some kind on his desk. Naruto gasped in shock. He was working on a new genjutsu. He never got to finish it. "What is it?" "From the looks, it seems that he was trying to create a genjutsu that was motivated from something he calls Kodo Matsukami. Apparently that genjutsu allows him control of someone through making someone completely believe his will. Well, this was apparently going to be able to create a hell-like world that would crush the victim's mind and they'd believe it though his will, which would kill the victim. At least that was the aim. He never was able to perfect it, as said in his notes, and seemed to be trying to find a way to complete it, but I guess now you should try to finish it. I'm sure he'd be proud if you could find the answer that he couldn't. Besides, you're probably the only one who would be able to. Your ability to learn techniques is something I've never seen." "Maybe you're right." "I know I am," she said smiling, and he just wrapped an arm around her, rubbing her right arm while pulling her tightly. "Thank you, Sasuke-chan." The next 2 days they spent training rigorously. She managed to master the Uchiha style, Dance of the Sun Halo. Naruto finally fully mastered the shun and can have no difficulty making repeated jumps in close succession within close range for battle. The next step was the version of the teleportation jutsu where Shisui could create his afterimage clones. They were special and required immense speed. Where Shisui could make 16, Naruto could only make 2. He wasn't fast enough nor mastered the version of the technique fully just yet. It also took him a few ensigns to perform this level of the teleportation jutsu when Shisui did it. Naruto's speed was greatly increasing, and this was including his normal speed, not just when using the Shunshin. It was nowhere near the level of his Shunshin and didn't succeed that of a Jonin, but he was definitely as fast if not faster than most Chunin. Just a benefit when you are trained and raised by the second fastest shinobi in the world and son of the fastest in the world. Sasuke was amazed by his speed and use of the Shunshin and finally asked to learn it. He of course did, but it seemed that she'd never reach his level of mastery as she could only use it for the purpose that every shinobi did, and that was mere transportation. Maybe in a few years she could use it similar to Naruto, but currently she couldn't. However, she was just glad to be able to use it since all she wanted to get to point A to be quicker. Sasuke had said bye to Naruto and had left to go back home. They had been happy and she made him feel better than he had been before. He was thankful that about her surprise visit and glad that she was his friend. Soon though she would need him more than ever as she was in for a shock to her world. Oi, Naruto. Hello Uncle Kakashi. What can I do for you? Naruto said, standing from a seated position. What have you been doing? Oh, nothing. Sasuke-chan was here. You just missed. She really helped me out these past few days that she stayed. You guys were together for a few days alone? Kakashi said with a perverted smile and a chuckle. Yeah, why? Oh, nothing, Naruto. Gonna be a few years before you understand, Kakashi thought with a laugh. Okay. Anyways, I mastered the Shunshin and started to work on Shisui's last step of it being his most advanced teleportation jutsu. My. How far along are you? I can form 2 clones and I still have to make a few hand signs. Naruto said, annoyed. You'll get there, Naruto. I'm proud of your development, but don't make the same mistakes as me when I was your age. I dove all in on my training after my father's suicide and closed myself off from everyone. Then during and after the war, I really closed everybody out. Remember, you are only going to be turning 7. Naruto tried to enjoy her childhood as well. Kakashi said, kneeling before Naruto so they could be eye level. I understand, uncle. But if I'm not training, my feelings start to linger and it's too painful. It scares me, Naruto said, looking down. Why does it scare you, Naruto? I hear a voice all the time and get feelings to do horrible things. Training seems to quiet it all and I can be relaxed, Naruto said with a few tears forming in his eyes. Naruto, Kakashi said in a saddened tone. Is it the Kiba? The Sharingan? I do remember seeing the Mangekyo awaken. Shisui had Minato-sensei, I also had him. Naruto doesn't. I understand now why Lord Third told me to watch over him now, thought Kakashi. What do I do? The academy begins soon and I'll be forced to stay away from training. I'm scared. Please, I don't know what to do. Naruto now was crying. He feared this dark feeling he had all the time and could only hide from it while he trained. If that was not an option, what would he do? I'll be there for you, Naruto. I'll help you. Whenever you need to talk, you can talk to me. How can you understand? Ever since my Sharingan awakened, I have felt more and more pain and sadness. It's like it multiplies my emotions. Kakashi lifted his headband and Naruto was completely surprised. He always thought that maybe he just didn't have an eye or something given the scar. Never did he expect a Sharingan. I do understand, Naruto. That is why I can help you. Naruto embraced Kakashi in a hug and cried in his arms for a few minutes. For the first time since Shisui's death, he felt like he truly had someone who understood. Itachi did as well, but it wasn't the same after Shisui died. After he'd learned Shisui's genjutsu counter from him, they hadn't really been together much and Naruto mainly was always with Sasuke. They still were close, but Naruto always bottled up how he felt. So he thought Itachi never knew. Kakashi hadn't spent a lot of time with Naruto, not since he was still a baby. He always visited but didn't get to see him as much as he'd like, mainly because of his Anbu duties. Then when he was no longer Anbu and became a Jonin leader, he was forced to take on teams, which he quickly dropped and just got sent on high-level missions. Here, let's have a spar, Naruto. I'll even have my Sharingan out. I want to see how you've developed, Kakashi said, standing up. Naruto smiled and they began their fight. Hiruzen had been watching from his crystal ball and smiled when he saw how much Kakashi was able to alleviate some of Naruto's turmoil. However, he knew all too well that it would take a lot more and even more time to truly rid the darkness. He learned a lot about the Uchiha from his senseis, Hashirama Senju the Shoto Hokage and Tobirama Senju the Nidaime Hokage, plus his friend and teammate Kagami Uchiha. He knew that the capacity of love for an Uchiha was unmatched, but so was their capacity to hatred. You can't have one without the other, and it would always be there. For an Uchiha, they had to have someone or something to love that was far greater than their hatred. However, if they lost that which they loved, it is what led to many Uchiha losing it. The most notorious being Madara Uchiha. After losing his brother, who he loved dearly, Madara went mad and was consumed in hatred. It's possible to overcome, but it took a strong will and for there to be love in the life of the Uchiha that could be unbreakable. Right now Naruto needed as much as possible, since he also had the QB enhancing his negative emotions and was now the youngest to ever awaken the Mangekyo. Even if he couldn't activate it on command yet, he figured that when Naruto learned of the massacre and the rumors of the fact that Itachi killed Shisui, then he'd be able to activate it once more. Hiruzen didn't think anyone could guide him, since the awakening of the Mangekyo was entirely different than just the base Sharingan. Without the guidance of someone with the Mangekyo it would be hard, since he had to overcome it all on his own. With the Uchiha clan wiped out and the only other Mangekyo user being the one to do it and be forced to become a missing nin, Hiruzen was worried. How would Naruto turn out? If only there was some way, but he knew Itachi couldn't. He had a new duty and had to walk that path. Hiruzen really wished he knew what to do in this situation but didn't. Soon Sasuke would learn of her clan's fate and then she'd end up going to Naruto. At least they had a strong bond, so that eased Hiruzen. It still saddened him how everything was, but he would do his best to make things better. I wonder if I should tell Naruto of my own Mangekyo? No. I'll wait until he activates it again, thought Kakashi. There was no point in trying to teach Naruto that, if he couldn't even use it nor knew of its existence. It would probably be for the best that he doesn't know of it for as long as possible. Later that night, Naruto had said his BS to Kakashi and had gone back home. It was already dark and he was tired. He learned really fast that Kakashi was an extremely formidable opponent. He wasn't arrogant to think he could win, but he at least thought that maybe he could do well from the fact that Kakashi wasn't as fast as Shisui, so maybe he'd be able to keep up. Yeah. No, that was not the case. He could only perceive his movements with his Sharingan, but even then, he still wasn't fast enough to do anything about it. The Sharingan didn't grant speed. The perception, yes, you could see a move before it happens. But if you yourself wasn't fast enough, then it wouldn't matter. You'd just watch yourself get beat up in slow motion. That annoyed Naruto, but he knew that being in fights like that would be extremely beneficial to him. Always sparring against the best meant that if anyone was around his level, he'd in theory easily go through them, since the opponent wouldn't be at that level of opponent he trained against. Kakashi was probably the strongest jonin of the village, so that meant an absolute ton of bruises all over his body. He didn't feel a beating like that since he angered Shisui and learned firsthand why he was named Shisui the Teleporter. Naruto was brought from his thoughts when he noticed Sasuke in his porch. That was odd, since she had left earlier. Had she forgotten something? Then he noticed how pained she seemed to be in, and he immediately ran to her. Hey Sasuke-chan, what's wrong? He put his hand on her shoulder, and when she looked up at him, his heart began to sink as he could saw her crying. He always wanted her happy, and seeing her this way hurt. She didn't speak anything as it was hard for her to talk. Immediately Naruto embraced her in a tight hug and was gently rubbing her back and stroking her hair gently. She returned the hug and they stood there for 10 minutes while she cried into his shoulder while he just tried to comfort her. When she started to settle down, he took her inside and sat her on the couch while he got some peach tea from the kitchen for them. He sat beside her and didn't say anything, rather just held her hand and waited until she was ready. He was worried and feared that maybe something happened to her parents, or worse, her brother. He really liked and looked up to Itachi, and if something happened it would really hurt. But he didn't want to think like that. Then again, what else would cause her to be this way? After a while, she gripped his hand tighter and looked up at him. She just looked into his dark black eyes that felt like she was looking into a void, and finally mustered up her voice. The clan. They're all dead. Naruto was about to say something when she continued. Apparently Itachi slaughtered them all. My parents, cousins, the whole clan, everyone. She began crying again. Naruto didn't speak, only hugged her and let her cry in his chest. It took everything within him to hold his emotions in. He wanted. No, he had to. He's strong for her. He wouldn't let her see him sad when she needed him. He would stay strong for her and never cry in front of her again, so that he could always make her feel better. Right then he decided that his pain and sadness, he'll try to hide and bury around her, so that way, she could always see him as a light and ray of happiness for her. Naru, I'm so sorry. They think that my brother may have. She paused. How do I tell him? He deserves to know, she thought. I am so sorry. Kanambo said that they think he faked Shisui-san's suicide and that it was him that killed him for P-power. She felt as Naruto froze and got stiff. He didn't say anything though, and it was scaring her. Was he mad and began hating her for what her brother did? She really didn't want to lose him, but knew that Naruto was in so much pain to begin with, even if he didn't show it. Now learning her brother may have been the reason. How would he see her now? She knew she lost her family and clan thanks to him. She didn't want to lose Naruto too due to him. And Naruto? Did you hate me? Naruto hugged her tighter as he finally snapped out of it. No. I'll never hate you, Sasuke-chan, he said softly to her. She cried more as she was so saddened but also happy to know he wouldn't leave her. She needed him to be by her side and couldn't imagine what would happen if he wasn't there. They were the last Uchiha and her only friend left. Sasuke began to fall asleep in Naruto's arms, so he picked her up bridal style and carried her to the guest room. He laid her down gently and pulled the covers over her. He cleaned her cheeks from the dry tears and brushed her hair out her face. He smiled sadly looking at her as she laid sleeping peacefully. He began to turn around and walk away when he felt her grab his wrist. Please don't go. Will you stay with me? Sure. Naruto sat in the chair by the bed while she held his left hand with both of hers tightly and close to her heart. After a while she finally completely fell asleep and he finally let the tears he'd held the whole time out and cried silently beside her. His eyes tight. He felt so betrayed. He'd looked up to Itachi, and he had taught him so much. Was it all a lie? How could he kill Shisui? How could he kill the clan? Naruto asked that so many times, he didn't understand just how. Why would he? All this was driving him mad. His eyes shot open and his Mangekyo was activated once again. This time he felt the change. His eyes burned and he brought his fingers to his eye. He looked in the mirror and saw his Sharingan was different and saw the 6 black triangles with the bases connected to form a hexagon in the center. The black ring that was centered through the triangles and the black circle in the center of the hexagon and the glowing blood red of the background to them. He felt different with these eyes. He felt the power they held and his vision felt so much clearer, so much stronger. He felt as his visual prowess was 10 times stronger with these eyes and could feel there were more hidden powers within. With these eyes, I'll find the answers. I'll create a world of peace. Naruto thought looking into his reflection. He looked to the sleeping Sasuke. Sasuke-chan, with these eyes I will always protect you. No one will take you away from me and nobody will hurt you. I promise. Hiruzen had watched everything with his crystal ball. He was glad to see that they supported each other. Happy to see that she didn't become lost to hatred thanks to Naruto being by her side. However, he couldn't help but worry about Naruto when he saw that now Naruto fully activated the Mangekyo. The promise he made was both good and bad. He was glad that maybe Sasuke was the key to keeping him out of the darkness. However, if something ever happened, should she be in danger, what would he do? How will he react? He thought it was the same with Itachi. He'd practically promised to slaughter anyone if something happened to Naruto and Sasuke. If Naruto was feeling the same way then, it was a terrifying thought. At least he knew with Itachi that he was focused and would direct it. But Naruto housed the QB, and if something happened, Naruto would destroy everything around him, no matter who it was. What do I do? Thought Hiruzen. He would need to go to Kakashi and see what he thought. Right then he decided for sure that when Naruto became a shinobi, his sensei would be Kakashi. With the Sharingan he could potentially suppress the QB, and with his knowledge in some seals he could suppress it that way as well. Before he was only somewhat considering it since Naruto already had training of the Sharingan and should be fine. However, as things were now it was no longer an option. Sasuke would be on the team naturally as well since she needed someone to train her in the Sharingan when she awakened it, and she could maybe be the key in taming Naruto whenever he started to slip into anger. Now he'd have to wait until their graduation to choose a third member. 2 months later, the first day of the academy arrived. A lot happened in these 2 months. Sasuke now lived in Naruto's home since she could no longer bring herself to be in her own house. She was thankful that Naruto invited her to stay with him when he'd walked her home the morning after she gave him the news. He had seen her face and that was all he needed in order to know she no longer wanted to be there. She got the room right beside Naruto's and had trained with him every day leading up to the academy. He really helped her in feeling better as now she no longer felt completely pained. It was still there, but she could feel happy again. It took a month, but she was getting better. For a long time she couldn't believe how Naruto seemed to fine. Never did he show any sadness or pain around her. The thoughts of him being strangely fine ended a couple weeks ago when she awoke in the middle of the night one night. She had gone to the kitchen and got some water. She was in a blue t-shirt and black shorts, so she started to feel a little chilly. It was cold this night and she was about to go back into her warm covers when she stopped in the hall. There were sounds coming from the dojo. It was on the other side of the house, so the sounds were faint. When she came to the door, it wasn't fully slid shut, and as such she could see into it. She saw Naruto punching the hell out of a punching bag, and then she noticed he was crying and could see how much sadness he truly had and was hiding from her. As his crying seemed to escalate, so did his punches, until he seemed to let put a small quiet scream which he seemed to be trying hard to contain, and he had punched into the bag, making his fist go through all the way to his wrist. She wanted to over there and comfort him but decided against it. It was obvious he was trying to hide this from her. She figured that when he was ready, he'll express it and would let him keep it to himself for now. Kakashi would come by regularly and always helped in training or talking to Naruto. She didn't ever try to listen in, as it seemed to be something personal between the two, but she did hear one word time, Mangekyo. What was it? She still hadn't awakened her own Sharingan but was learning a lot about how it would be. Naruto helped in training her body to be able to keep up with the visual prowess of the Sharingan, and that was the majority of her training for the 2 months. Neither one learned new jutsu, just perfecting what they already had, and training Ikauther in Kenjutsu and Shuriken Jutsu respectively as they had promised Ikauther. They were both becoming masters of both arts. Naruto already mastered Kenjutsu and figured that in another year, so would Sasuke. Naruto's Shuriken Jutsu would probably be mastered in another month based on the fact that he trains day and night. Naruto woke up and began to cook some breakfast. He was in sweats and his sleeveless hoodie. It was quite early but he couldn't sleep anyways. The surrounding area of his eyes was slightly darkened over the lack of sleep over time, but it wasn't too prominent and could be missed if you didn't pay attention. He had just finished making the eggs, bacon, and toast, poured some orange juice and set the table when Sasuke had came into the kitchen. He smiled and wished her a good morning. Afterwards he left to go shower. That puzzled her. She noticed now that it was always like that. He would make breakfast but she never saw him eat. No dish was in the sink and he never actually ate with her. Rather he trained. It was the same even this morning. However, he showered and wore his usual outfit to then head to the academy. He waited for her and they left together. Along the walk, she decided to finally ask, "Hey Naru?" Naruto rose an eyebrow. "Yes Sasuke-chan?" "Why do you make breakfast, only to not eat?" "Because it makes you happy. And I'm just not all that hungry, you know." "You hardly eat." "Like I said Sasuke-chan, not all that hungry." "Don't worry about it. Today we start the academy, so focus on that." Naruto. She knew that him not eating as much was probably due to his inner turmoil, but she couldn't bring herself to confront him about it. She didn't know how he'd react and as such let it go. Soon though, she'll get him to open up. After some time, they came to the academy gate. It was a large building. There was a large library just beside it, the Konoha library in fact, and there was a large training ground in front. There were long posts with targets, obviously for shuriken and kunai training, and even a circular ring made in the ground, most likely for spars. The two stood there as they watched a large group of kids all conversing and boasting of their clans and who'll be the strongest of the class. Naruto didn't want to get into the mix of them and stood by a tree with a swing. Sasuke naturally followed him. "Sasuke-chan, you should make some friends." "Why aren't you?" "Sasuke-chan, I'll tell you later." "Okay." She didn't completely get it but trusted that he'd follow through on what he said. He wasn't one to just say something just for saying its sake. He'd mean whatever he say truthfully, and as such she left him alone there to meet some people before the teacher would come for them. Naruto smiled slightly as he watched her go. He truly wanted her to make some friends. He knew though that he wouldn't be able. However, he wouldn't let it get in her way. Sasuke was heading towards the crowd and wondered who to go towards. She was pretty nervous but wouldn't let it show. Suddenly a couple people came towards her. There was a blonde girl, a pink-haired shy girl that came towards her. "Hello there, I'm Ino Yamanaka. This here is my friend Sakura Haruno. She's pretty shy but nice when you get to know her." "Hi," said Sakura shyly. "Hello, I'm Sasuke." "The Uchiha," Ino said slightly loud. Thankfully no one heard. Yes, Ino realized that she probably shouldn't talk about that but rather just try to talk of other things. Mainly how she had met Sakura and flowers. Sasuke wasn't sure she enjoyed talking about flowers but could tell that the blonde was trying to be friendly. She was taken out of her thoughts when Ino had asked her something. Sorry I didn't get that. It's okay. I asked who that boy is by the tree. He seems to be watching you. She glanced over and smiled. That's Naruto. For as long as I've known him, he's always been there for me. He's just making sure I'm okay. Don't worry. Is he your boyfriend? What? Hiya, I'm joking. He's got some interesting hair. You're jet black. But those red highlights are interesting. He dye it? Nope. That's his natural hair. Pretty odd as every Uchiha only had black. So I'm not sure why his is different, she said chuckling. Oh okay. Well why is he off on his own? I'm not sure. He said he'd tell me later. So they all talked for a while longer and awaited the sensei's arrival. Naruto was off alone still and smiled that Sasuke made a couple friends. He happened to look over and saw someone laying in the grass. So the Nara era's in the class as well. Yo Naruto, antisocial now, said Shikamaru in the grass. You could say that. What are you doing? Watching the clouds man. Watching the clouds. And Naruto chuckled and walked towards the entrance with Shikamaru as they could tell it was going to be time. Surprisingly Hiruzen came out with some chunin but everyone was happy to see their Hokage. He was giving a speech. Something about will of fire but Naruto and Shikamaru took the time to take a nap. They woke up when it was done. They had some skill to time it so perfectly it was insane. Sasuke went over to Naruto. Didn't you think that was a nice speech? Yeah. Gigi has such a way with words. Naruto said. However she poked in between his ribs showing that she knew he hadn't paid attention. Ah come on Sasuke-chan. It's okay. You need to rest Naru. Just try not to make this a reoccurring theme and sleep at home. Okay, sure. He walked beside her and little did she know how much he was trying to maintain his calm. However with her at his side it was far easier. He never understood why she could make it all quiet down and nothing else mattered. However he would protect her forever since she could. One thing was for sure, the academy was boring. Naruto hated every second of it. For the entire first year it was only lecture and he wouldn't learn a single new thing. Shisui taught him all the theory of jutsu and chakra and genjutsu. This year would be a total waste. Want it to end. Kill them all. Not again, Naruto accidentally said out loud. Sadly the room had been silent as they were all reading and everyone turned to him. The sensei, Iruka Umino, glared an all too familiar glare to Naruto. So he's like the others. Guess the years got even longer. That talk is more important than ever now. She must not be involved. Together we can end this. No more of those glares and no more being subjugated to this pain. Naruto winced as he tried hard to repress the urges. He squeezing the pencil in his hand so tight that it snapped in half. You will remain silent, Naruto. Now read before you are punished, Iruka said as he looked at him in disgust. Great. Worse than I thought. Man, should I aim to show out to graduate early then? But if I do then? I don't know. Just kill him. You know you hate him for looking at you that way. What will you do when he gives her that same look? That seemed to get a reaction out of his container as he tensed. His eyes became a crimson red but rather than the Sharingan a black slit was visible. Naruto's whisker marks began darkening and becoming more apparent, but just as quickly as it all appeared, it receded and was gone. It was only visible for a few seconds and as such no one noticed. Except for one pineapple-shaped haired boy. Shikamaru Nara. Troublesome. What are you hiding, Naruto? Whatever the case, I know it isn't the real you, so when will you let anyone in? We could help you know. Troublesome, Shikamaru thought as he looked at Naruto. He glanced at Sasuke and saw she hadn't noticed the subtle change. I wonder. Naruto slowly opened his eyes that were now normal and all he did was nod towards his teacher. If Iruka could be called that at this point. That night, Naruto and Sasuke returned home. He prepared dinner and this time he would eat with her. He needed to talk to her and she was expecting some answers. So, do I need to ask questions or will you just speak? Sasuke said. Naruto sighed. Sasuke-chan, first off, while we are at the academy or public, It will be best if you don't associate with me. What? Are you insane? What are you ashamed of me? Sasuke began to feel hurt as she felt she was the problem. Maybe he wasn't so fine with her as he made it out to be. That's not it. You're very dear to me. As such, I will not let you be hurt for being near me in public. What do you mean then, Naruto? Once more he sighed. I'm not sure why, but the villagers have been sending me hateful glares in disgust. Our teacher gave me the same look today. I will not allow their views of me for whatever reason they have be placed on you. You still can make friends and have fun. Kids stay away from me as their parents tell them to. The more you are near me, they'll start to avoid you too. Naruto, I won't turn my back on you. You're the one who's always been there for me, and I still will, albeit from a distance in my own way. Listen, so long as you're happy, I'm happy. When we return to the house, I'll be with you. This way you're never alone and have many friends and many to rely on. Who will be your friend? Who will you rely on? Sasuke wasn't pleased at hearing any of this. Sasuke-chan, you're the only one in the world that I need. As such, no one else matters. Not Gigi, not Uncle Kakashi, not anybody. You are the calm to my storm. So just be happy. For both of us. She couldn't believe what he said. Did he really value her more than Kakashi and Lord Third? What did that mean? Why was he so sure that he couldn't have anybody? Could he truly be happy so long as she was? Or was it just him trying to make her feel better about the fact that as she would have friends, he'd be alone while she was having fun or gathered with others? He'd stay in seclusion. The path that seemed to lay ahead of Naruto sounded lonely to Sasuke. She didn't want to have him feel such a way. She didn't understand what she felt towards him, but knew that she'd rather anyone but him feel such a way. Why is it that every time things could go well for her, he always had to suffer in silence while always showing her a brave face? That thought made her wonder, just how sad did he feel when he said that? If he truly valued her as he said, then no doubt it must really hurt his heart to have her stay away from him outside the house. Naru. A tear slipped out of her eye while she clenched his hand tightly. What does he mean by him being a storm that I can calm? Naruto just smiled at her, trying to help her feel better about it all, and then stood up. I'm going to go train. There's something I want to work on. Get some rest. Okay? Okay. Thank you for everything. You don't ever need to thank me, Sasuke-chan. You may not realize it, but you are far more helpful than I am. He then disappeared from sight as she was left to process the entire talk and didn't know what to feel. She was sad. Her friend always seemed to get the short end of the stick. Happy that despite everything, he valued her before himself. It made no sense. Just why. It would be a long time before either one truly understood what they felt or why, but one thing for certain was that they had each other's back. The academy was interesting to Sasuke, but she could tell that Naruto could care less. Then again, he was rather knowledgeable, so it only made sense. Hokage office. Naruto-kun, what are you doing here at this time? I wanted to ask you, would it be beneficial to strive to graduate early? I won't get to learn much from the courses and sensei doesn't like me. I'm just trying to figure out what would be best. Well, we are not currently at war, so generally we don't allow early graduations. But why are you wanting to leave? Truthfully, Gigi, I don't know how to explain it, but I just don't trust myself. Try to stick it through. I'm sure Sasuke-san wouldn't want this, and I think if you give it some time, you'll find a circle for yourself. Okay. I will try, but well, you've got the Nara as a friend, don't you? That's a start, Naruto-kun. I guess you're right. Naruto gave Hiruzen a small and weak smile, but it was a genuine smile nonetheless. When will Uncle Kakashi be back? Tomorrow night. I'll let him know. Naruto nodded and vanished as if he was never there. His biggest question but never asked was, why they saw him as they did. He didn't do anything. Not that he knew of, at least. Hiruzen was greatly disappointed in Iruka. The Chunin had professed how much he wished to be an instructor of the academy so that he could help mold the future. Where had that drive gone? He knew Iruka lost his parents during the Kyuubi attack, but to blame the child was disappointing. How can I make things better? At this rate, Naruto-kun will never care for his life and will rush to death. He has nothing to drive on in his life, said Hiruzen to nobody. Hopefully through time, Naruto's life could change and he could return to happiness. Shikamaru's house. Farther. I have a question, but I feel it's quite troublesome. What is it? Shikaku asked, rather interested. Shikamaru never really ever showed interest in anything much. Naruto. Shikaku glanced over to his son as he started piecing together where it was heading. He knew his son would notice things that no one else would. When I'm around him, he was always so kind and even funny. A rather troublesome kid. Yet today I saw him with a look I've never seen before. It was like hatred embodied. The looks he always gets and the treatment he receives. It's like he's the plague. What's up with that? Well, what's your own personal opinion of him? I think he's a friend. Then do what you wish, Shikamaru. The thoughts of others are arrogant. In time they should go away. Just do what you feel is right. Shikaku was one of the only people to know the full truth of Naruto. He was one of Minato's trusted advisors and was a genius like no other. He never saw Naruto the way others do, but he wouldn't pity the boy, knowing that pity never got anywhere and generally no one liked being pitied. Okay, then I'll just be his friend. Also, he seems to push himself farther and farther into seclusion, so he's really having issues with the Kyuubi. The look of hatred embodied. Plus this, he's most likely trying to ensure no one is hurt by him accidentally. Do what you think is right. If he wishes to be alone, oblige. I'm sure he'll explain if you ask. Shikamaru nodded and left his father. Thinking on what he was told, he was only able to conclude that there were definitely many secrets about his friend, secrets that he would probably never be told, at least not for a long time. What could they be? How much would it change everything about Naruto if learned? One thing was for sure, Naruto was a mystery. Weeks would go by and every day, more and more people started to come around to Sasuke. She was loved by practically everybody. On the other side of the coin, Naruto was on his own. He had told Shikamaru the same thing he told Sasuke, and he understood why Naruto would request this. He told Naruto that he viewed him as a friend no matter what, and should he ever need it, he's there. No matter how troublesome it might be. That had made Naruto laugh a bit and they shook hands. Naruto did make a request that he'd help make sure Sasuke be okay. He had training he wanted to do, and with her having more and more friends now, she may want to go hang out with them. He wouldn't be able to watch over her all the time. Naruto did something that puzzled Shikamaru. He lifted up his hand and waited patiently. Suddenly a crow flew onto it and stayed there perched on his hand. If something ever happens or you need me, leave a message on the crow. It will come to me and I'll come help you. So you can control crows? More like work with them. But in a sense I guess you could say that. Troublesome. Alright Naruto, I'll help you in this. Thank you. Naruto then disappeared from sight and all Shikamaru saw was a blur that greatly shocked him and made him wonder even more about Naruto. Just what more are you hiding, Naruto? If only he knew the extent of his secrets and ability. A couple months would go by and Naruto's birthday came. He had a bad feeling about the day but decided to just go about it as normal as possible. Happy birthday Naru, Sasuke said, jumping onto Naruto the moment he had exited his room. Hi, thank you Sasuke-chan. I'm surprised you woke up before me. It is really early, you know. Yeah, she said with a fake pout. You'll have to make it up to me for doing this. Isn't it my birthday though? Naruto said, very amused. Yes. But that doesn't give an excuse for my having to get out of bed this early. What did you have in mind? Well, Naruto knew he wouldn't outwit her in the situation and just gave in. She smiled and giggled, hugging him from being on his back. She rested her head down on his shoulder and spoke. You'll allow me to help you celebrate it today. Oh, is that all? You're particularly lenient today. Don't tempt me, Naru. Okay. What did you want to do? Naruto said, laughing. He had carried her to the couch and they sat down. He went into the kitchen and grabbed some juice for her. Well, maybe we could go eat somewhere, wherever you'd like. I know you're friends with Shikamaru, so I'm sure he'd come. Is there anyone else you'd like? I don't really care. You could bring some of your friends if you like. It's not my birthday. It's yours. Not my place to bring friends, she said. Fine. I'll send a message to Gigi. He'll handle the plan. Just gonna push the preparations onto the poor old Hokage, eh? She laughed. Yep. She stopped laughing and looked at him before laughing more. Only Naruto could so casually increase the Hokage's load without a sense of worry. Naruto began making breakfast and was teaching her on how to cook some things since she hadn't really learned to cook. Since she was up, might as well learn something. At least that was her thought process. It made her smile since Naruto seemed happier than he had been for a while. She really missed this side of him and couldn't help but get teary-eyed due to this. The last time he seemed as happy was before the massacre and before the death of Shisui. Ever since then he hadn't been the same. She was still really sad about the massacre, but having her friends and having Naruto really helped her alleviate the pain. That is also what worried her about Naruto. He always just bottled his emotions and buried it, never dealt with it. She wondered how much he could take and when his breaking point would be reached. It scared her thinking about it. With what she knew of his abilities, he'd be a force not to be trifled with. Not even she knew the full extent of his abilities since she no longer trained as hard as him and he didn't always train in her presence. She was still training and keeping her skills sharp, but due to the academy and her friends, She only trained a few days of the week and for a few hours. Naruto still trained daily since he hardly slept still, and she just had to accept that. He still always helped her in her techniques when asked. She began wondering when she'd awaken her own Sharingan. That was something the clan held in high regard, and the clan didn't consider an Uchiha until they awakened their beloved Kike Genkai. The Fireball Jutsu was just the first step. The true defining decision was based on the Sharingan. It disappointed her to still not awaken it. Don't worry about it, Sasuke-chan. It'll come soon. Just be patient. How did you? We've known each other a while now. I can tell that it bothers you not to have it yet. But remember, I'm an exception with the Sharingan. Nobody awakens it when I did. Normally they're genin when they awaken it. So just be patient. I know you'll awaken it one day soon. She smiled to hear him believing in her and not look down on her for her lack of the Sharingan. Normally one would be disappointed in her, but Naruto had a point. To awaken the Sharingan, one usually was already genin and had to have developed a decent-sized reserve of chakra. They were heading to the academy when Naruto was noticing the even more intense glares. They looked ready to kill him right then and there. Just what the hell was their problem? You demon! Better not be trying to corrupt Sasuke Uchiha. What? Demon? I am no such thing. Uchiha, go before he kills you. This man was really confusing her. Why did he call Naruto a demon? Why would he think that he'd corrupt her, let alone kill her? A woman pulled her from her thoughts when she grabbed her and started pulling her away. She noticed that more people gathered in the street and blocked where Naruto was headed. They were in a semicircle around him and looked as though they were a predator ready to pounce on their prey. Naruto saw her be grabbed and pulled Sasuke. He tried to reach and grab her hand but missed. He was scared they may try to hurt her. He couldn't take the thought. He couldn't take the potential chance of her being hurt. His eyes became red with a black slit. His whisker marks blackened and became more pronounced. His hair became more feral and messier. You will let her go, or you'll die. Naruto's voice was dark and demonic sounding. The aura he gave off was terrifying and felt powerful beyond measure. Sasuke never seen him like this, never heard his voice like that. She was scared. Not for herself, as she knew he'd never hurt her, but for everyone around her. She didn't know what to do. She froze. The woman began to try to back away, still holding on to Sasuke. The men that had gathered around Naruto lunged at him. In the same instant they dropped to the ground. Blood gushed from their throats and Naruto wasn't in sight. Then Sasuke turned around when she heard the sound of someone falling behind her. She saw the woman on her knees with a fist through her back and through her heart, exiting her chest. Naruto pulled his arm back and suddenly they were surrounded by Anbu. Naruto had blood all on his arm and held a bloody kunai. He looked at Sasuke, who had tears in her eyes at seeing what Naruto just do. He just killed 11 people and didn't seem anything like himself. The Anbu were nervous. They were worried that the Kyuubi finally gained control. They didn't know what to do. Should they kill him? If the Kyuubi gained control, then what could it do through Naruto's body? Was Naruto still alive within his mind? They knew that the Hokage really cared for the boy. They did as well. The Anbu are loyal to the Hokage, and as such they knew of Naruto and his heritage. They served under Minato and now were hesitating, something that Anbu don't do. And Naruto? Sasuke asked, wondering if he was in there. Naruto's eyes looked all around. They were surrounded, but he felt no ill will. As such his eyes and features reverted back to normal. Finally everything came back to him and he looked at his hands shaking. He dropped to his knees crying. He just killed these people. The first time he killed a person and they were civilians. He was a monster. The demon they called him. All he had known was that his anger had peaked far higher than ever before when he saw someone taking Sasuke away. He couldn't control himself. He lashed out and killed everyone that had tried to do something. 11 people, dead in an instant by his own doing. No matter how much he trained and knew that one day in the line of duty he'd have to take a life, that didn't ever make one truly prepared for when it comes. Naruto had just killed 11 non-shinobi people and was in shock and saddened at what he'd done. Sasuke tried to go to him but was stopped by none other than the Hokage. Sandaime-sama, the Anbu all said in unison. Everyone could tell that Naruto was now back to normal and pained by what he'd just done. I'll take him to my office. Cat, go get Kakashi. Hi. They all bowed and left. The cat-masked Anbu with purple hair remained for a second looking at Naruto before leaving. It was Yugao and she couldn't help but feel bad for him. She wasn't around much anymore as she dove head-on into her work after the news of Shisui. She really had strong feelings for him that were never displayed. Same was said for him. She cared about Naruto and felt bad that she had sort of left him alone. She'd have to change that now more than ever. She then left to retrieve Kakashi. What do I do? Sasuke was crying. Her best friend was in pain and she saw just how much he bottled up as he had been pushed to the edge. She knew he didn't mean for it to happen, but seeing her getting taken away must have been too much for him. Go to the academy and act as nothing happened. You won't speak of this event to anyone. You can come by the office after you finish the day at the academy. He placed a hand on her shoulder and she nodded. He knew that the two cared deeply for each other. Don't worry about him. I'll take care of him today. She then turned to walk away but gave one more look to Naruto. Why couldn't he ever just stay happy? It seemed that every time he ever showed happiness, tragedy always struck and took it away from him. Today had started so good and she felt that maybe things would be looking up. Yet again it seemed that it wouldn't be. A tear escaped her eyes as she slumped her shoulders and looked down. She hated the thought that Naruto may never get to truly be happy again. Why him? He didn't deserve the seemingly never-ending suffering he had. Hokage office. How is he? Kakashi had came quickly. The only time he was never late was when it involved Naruto. He's sleeping now, but the first kill is always the hardest. Given the circumstances that led to it, he'll be shaken up, especially when he thinks about the fact that they weren't shinobi. What are we supposed to say? Sama? At every turn he is met with more and more tragedy. All we can do is hope he can stay strong. I feel that so long as Sasuke is okay, he can. I only fear for if she isn't. Kakashi nodded. He knew Naruto cared for her even deeper than he or himself even. Naruto would rather die than her be harmed. Naruto didn't understand his feelings, but Kakashi knew that it was that of love. Love intensified by the Sharingan, multiplied by the Mangekyo. She was his light in his darkness. The two have endured so much as it is. They're lucky to have each other, Kakashi said as he overlooked the sleeping Naruto. That they are. Hiruzen agreed, and that may be the only thing that Naruto had going for him. Naruto would always have Kakashi, Hiruzen and Yagao, but it was nothing compared to having Sasuke with him. Academy. Iruka was taking the attendance and so far everyone had been present as usual. At the very bottom was Naruto. He called out his name. No answer. A second, then subsequent third time with no answer. Looking up he saw that he wasn't there. Where's Naruto? Anyone know? Sasuke got saddened but tried not to show it. Hokage-sama is with him. Sensei. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow and noticed that was hiding more and that there was more to it than just that. The other students didn't believe it. They all saw Naruto as useless and stupid since he never paid attention. They figured that was because he couldn't understand, and since he didn't pay attention he'd have no intellect. At least that's what they thought. Other than that, their parents told them to stay away from him, with exception to Shikamaru, Ino and a few others. Man, I bet that moron is just ditching. No way Hokage-sama would waste his time with that fool. Kiba shouted arrogantly. He didn't hate Naruto but always wanted to feel like he was the best, the alpha. He was friends with Sasuke and half the time he was just saying stuff just for saying its sake. Exactly. Loser like that would never have the attention of our beloved Hokage. A random student said, "You guys are morons." Shikamaru said under his breath. What was that? Lazy ass. Kiba shouted. Troublesome. Enough. It doesn't matter that he's not here. Don't think much of it. We'll go on regardless, with or without him. Iruka said the last word with so much disgust that it showed how much he seemed to hate the kid. Some students smiled at their sensei's disgust as it was funny to them. To Sasuke it hurt her. Shikamaru was angered a bit as his friend was being treated that way, but there was nothing he could do. Ino rubbed Sasuke's shoulder. She didn't have a bad nor good opinion of Naruto. She didn't know him personally, only that he always looked after Sasuke. She actually found it cute. She knew that the two were close though, and having the sensei and class openly display their disgust of him must hurt quite a bit. The day was boring and long, but she was glad it was over. She went over to Shikamaru. Hey, I know you're like Naruto's only friend. He holds you in high regard. Yes, he's a good friend and I'm flattered that he thinks such a way. I wish he'd be more open, however. I feel that the reasons are troublesome though. Shikamaru said, sighing. Well, I'm headed to the Hokage office since Naruto has been there. Want to come? It is his birthday after all. This morning he agreed that he'd like to have you. Sure, it'll get me away from my mom for a while. Shikamaru said, glad to be able to be away for a bit. His mom could be scary and he didn't want to have to deal with anything. Hokage office. Naruto woke and was groggy a bit. He noticed where he was and saw Hiruzen, Kakashi and Yagao in the room. He smiled at seeing their faces but then remembered what he'd done. Tears formed his eyes. I'm a monster. I'm the demon they said I was. No, Naruto-kun, You defended yourself and protected Sasuke. Hiruzen was trying to reassure the boy he saw as a grandson. You'll always be Naruto Uchiha, nothing else. You're family and we will always look at you the same. Kakashi said, resting a hand on Naruto's shoulder. You're still always going to be that little goofy brat I had to look after. Yugao said with a smile. I know I hadn't been around much. I'm sorry about that. I have just been grieving. Naruto didn't speak, instead hugged them all while crying. It is your birthday. How about we go get something to eat? Sasuke and Shikamaru should be here soon, Hiruzen said. Naruto smiled on hearing that, especially Sasuke's name. Today Naruto turned 7 and it was his third birthday where something bad happened. First when he turned 4 he was attacked and awakened the Sharingan, then at 6 learned that his only family died, now at 7 killed 11 people. The thing he didn't tell anyone was that some part of him actually felt good to kill them. That voice was right. With them dead, they'll never look at him that way, they'll never try to attack him, they'll never try to take Sasuke away from him again. They're dead and the problem gone. He wasn't sure how he felt about that thought. On one hand he felt good for the fact that it would be over, on the other he just killed them and they probably had their own families, their own friends, and he just took them away from them forever. Was it wrong to feel good about what he did? He didn't know. All he could say is that they'll never get to Sasuke again. The sad thing is, that woman didn't take her in trying to hurt her or Naruto. In truth she saw what was happening and was just trying to get Sasuke away from the crowd and danger. Naruto didn't know that, Sasuke didn't either. Naruto just feared the worst when he heard the men and his anger took control of him. They all talked and caught up. They were curious on how much Naruto developed his skills since last, but he wanted to keep some things secret, such as how he can now perform the last genjutsu that Shisui gave him, being the bringer of darkness, and also now almost mastered the 3 fire jutsus that Kakashi gave him, being the Dragon Flame Bomb, Great Dragon Flame, and the Fairy Breath. His ability to make afterimage clones is also not known yet, but they did learn that he can now use it in fights like Shisui. They were surprised when he said he could do the Great Fireball, Phoenix Flower jutsus without signs. Naruto didn't say it, but Kakashi knew Naruto could do the demonic illusion, hell viewing technique without contact. That was a very rare feat to have a jutsu be done signless. Naruto was a truly talented prospect, having such an arsenal at only age 7. Based on skills he'd easily be Chunin but lacked the experience. He hasn't shown leadership, however he has done great at training Sasuke in Kenjutsu. Naruto was developing into a fine shinobi. If they can help control his anger then he'd be unstoppable. The door suddenly shot open and before anything Naruto was engulfed in a bone-crushing hug from Sasuke. The 3 just smiled and knew things would be okay as long as she was around for him. They were surprised when Shikamaru lazily walked in a little after her. Are you okay? Sasuke whispered. Naruto just held her and nodded, but she knew otherwise. She'd talk to him later on at home. For now they were going to try to celebrate. So what keep you busy today, Naruto? Shikamaru said, which brought the 2 out of the hug. We were discussing some leaking pipes in his house, Hiruzen quickly said. Shikamaru laughed because it sounded like such a dumb excuse, but he found it too troublesome to inquire more on what really happened. For the most part everything went on fine. They had a good dinner at Ikaraku's and they all talked as though everything was perfectly fine. Kakashi was studying Naruto discreetly the whole time and was trying to see how he was truly feeling. He was troubled when he felt like a part of Naruto enjoyed what he'd done, but he thought he was just imagining things and left that thought behind. Naruto and Sasuke finally returned but stopped for some dango on the way back for a nice treat. Naruto looked at her eyeing the sweet scent and he couldn't help but laugh. It was times like that he wished would be forever. None of the big things, nothing special, just her little quirks made him brighten up. You know, you can get some right and eat it, not just look at, right? Naruto said, chuckling, although he would have liked to keep watching the sight. Her little pouts were just too funny. Oh, shut up. They got home and when he shut the door, the mood changed and he knew why. He didn't turn around, just looked at the door. He sighed and decided to speak first. You're scared of me, aren't you? Naruto's voice was shaky. She was his light, but today he displayed a side that he didn't even know he had. Thoughts, yes, but to be able to do that was something he didn't expect. I understand if you wish to leave, Naru. You're such a lovable dummy. You know that? She hugged him from behind him, which made him start to cry. No. I swore to never cry in front of you again. To never show sadness. I won't cry now, Naruto. I know you train all night. I know you still cry. I saw 2 weeks before we started the academy. I didn't say anything, hoping that you would just talk to me sometime." She was pressing her cheek to his back, and when she said that, he held her hands that were at his stomach. "I just wanted to be strong for you." His voice breaking as it was getting harder and harder to contain his emotions. "It is not weakness to show how you feel. Silly. One would even say it takes courage to express your feelings, since it makes one vulnerable to another." He slowly turned around and embraced her in a hug. "I don't know exactly how to express my feelings, but I know for certain that I care about you more than anything. If you want me to talk to you about what has been bothering me, then I'll need some time. I'm just not ready yet." She smiled in his chest. The dark feeling he gave off earlier that day was gone and was instead giving off such a warm and safe feeling. "I care about you too, Naru. No, I am always here for you, always by your side, just like you are for me. So when you're ready, you can tell me at any time." 4 years later. This was the year leading up to the final year in the academy. The class was mostly 11 while Naruto was 10, since his birthday was later on in the year. This year they spent drilling hard on Sharingan jutsu. No longer were they spending every single day just reading and learning history. Now was the practical training and developing of their shinobi skills. Naruto and Sasuke were at the top of the class and dominated everybody and everything. Well, aside from one, Naruto learned that for some odd reason, he could not perform the most basic of clones. Sasuke teased him a lot on it but regretted it when they sparred that night. The rest of the class clowned him on it, as now they had something over him. It was weird how that worked out. He could decimate them in any field, yet because on little issue, they view him weak. How does that work? Naruto's secluded ways remained. He and Shikamaru got closer. They even befriended another person who secluded themselves, that being Shinobaram. Shino's bugs reacted onto Naruto. It seemed he had something different about him but never questioned him. Choji was friends with Shikamaru for a long time, so he had finally chosen to introduce him to Naruto. They all were friends in private, but in public you'd never know that they had been friends with Naruto. Sasuke and Naruto were closer than ever as she slowly started learning of Naruto's darkness but was never deterred from him. He honestly felt better by releasing his pain slightly, but it wasn't easy for him to do. He still hesitated when doing so, even though her support was unwavering. Naruto mastered all his jutsu and now could do them all without issue. He was always trying to improve his teleportation jutsu so he can manifest more clones out of it. It was becoming his favorite technique as it was effective and didn't cost much chakra compared to his other techniques. He only showed Sasuke the full extent of his abilities. The Hokage, Kakashi, and Yagao knew he was skilled but didn't know just how mastered he was of all the techniques. Only that he is always working. Iruka actually laxed a lot more towards Naruto a couple years ago, and that was surprising to everyone. No longer would he openly hate him. Flashback. Iruka said, "Hiruzen." "Yes, Lord Third." "Why do you display so much hatred towards Naruto-kun?" "Lord Third, he's the Kyuubi?" "No, he is not. He and the Kyuubi are not one and the same. They are two different beings. One a human boy, the other a tailed beast. They are brought together through a seal, but that is all. They aren't the same. I know that you lost your parents to the Kyuubi. What if I told you, so did he?" "What do you mean?" "He once had a family, but they died to the Kyuubi. In a way he's very much like you, except he's never known the love of a mother, of a father." "You think him a problem, but have you ever thought about how he may feel?" "He puts on a strong face and pretends everything is fine. Do you think he really actually would feel fine based on how you and everyone else treats him?" "No. He wouldn't." "That kind of loneliness and sadness. You know something? He has to sacrifice being with his friends and the one person left that he cares about just so that they don't have to suffer how he suffers. So they won't be hated or seen as he is. He chooses to seclude himself and not build bonds in fear that those bonds would be attacked as he's been attacked, hated as he's been hated. You know how much sacrifice that poor little kid has had to do at such a young age where he should be playing and having fun. Yet all he gets is hate, being attacked and forced to be in seclusion for the sake of others." Iruka looked down, ashamed of his actions. Where did he go wrong? All he ever wanted was to be a teacher to help mold the future of Konoha, and here he was, destroying a potential flame that would help protect the village he loves. "I can't believe what I've done. Sandame-sama, I'm so sorry. I failed as a teacher and went back on what I truly wanted to do, lost sight of the goal I always had to mold the future for Konoha." "You still can. You just need to keep an open mind." "You said there was only one he cared for?" "Yes, Sasuke Uchiha. They don't even talk to each other." "What do?" "Right. I forgot what you had said." "I promise, from here on out, I will be better and will lead these children into becoming great shinobi for the village. Hiruzen smiled, seeing that his talk helped and that Iruka would believe in his old belief once more and no longer blindly hate Naruto. Flashback end. Sasuke's popularity was immense and many of the boys tried asking her out, all of which got denied. Shikamaru laughed internally as he knew who would be the one to win her over, although it was already won. Even if the two didn't exactly know it yet, he wondered when the hell they'd realize it themselves and admit it. Sakura's confidence grew and she no longer was a shy girl who relied heavily on Ino. They were still best friends and really smart, only surpassed by Sasuke as far as the girls went. Shikamaru was the smartest with Naruto behind him for the boys. Then in total it was Shikamaru, then Naruto, then Sasuke as far as test scores went. Since they just started in the physical training, they had yet to spar against each other and was still practicing form in taijutsu. They would begin spars the following year where they'd spar 3 times a week. Kiba boasted constantly, both on how he'd win over Sasuke, and that he'd be the best fighter. Sakura was nervous for when the sparring would begin. Ino was semi-confident. Shikamaru found it troublesome. Shino wasn't passive on the prospect. Chaoji just wondered if he'll have to start taking more snacks since he'd expend more energy now. Hinata also got nervous. Sasuke was excited to finally start the sparring but really hated how Kiba acted and wished he'd stop. She wanted to prove Naruto's belief in her right and not let him down. She also felt some sort of weight towards Naruto lately that she didn't know why, but there was something. Naruto was worried that he might go too far if provoked. Nonetheless, he knew that none of them could beat him. Maybe if Hinata wasn't so timid and had been like any other Hyuga, she'd be a harder fight since the clan was fast and experts in taijutsu. His only rival in taijutsu amongst the class is Sasuke, and he began to feel something weird towards her. Something he didn't quite know how to explain or what it really meant, but he knew there was something there towards her as well, but didn't know she felt the same. One thing was for certain. Naruto and Shikamaru both knew how the rankings would go. Naruto at the top with Sasuke following. Shikamaru would beast just because he wouldn't try. He had the smarts to figure out a way to beat just about anybody except Naruto, since there just wouldn't be a chance in straight up taijutsu. He could find a strategy against Sasuke, but it wouldn't be guaranteed that he'd be able to pull out a win still, so he would most likely be third if he truly tried. The others' position didn't really matter since it didn't bother them, nor would it really be surprising, since Sakura would also be at the bottom with Ino on top of her, then Hinata above her. But then again, everything could be wrong. Shikamaru doubted that though. Based on what he's seen and what he knows, nothing would drastically change the rankings he had in mind. Unless Hinata got over her timidity, then things would change. That was a long shot, however. Naruto woke up to a commotion in the kitchen and grabbed his tanto and quietly walked the halls to find the perpetrator. He saw the light on in the kitchen and living room, but as far as he could tell, nothing looked out of place. What kind of burglars were they, huh? Sasuke-chan? Naruto said as he saw who was in the kitchen. Whoops, you hear me drop the pen? She then turned to see him. He hadn't put on a shirt and was only wearing his sweats. For the first time she saw him that way and was shocked. He had some abs and was slightly toned. When he got older and his body developed, then so would his muscle. Then she noticed he was holding the tanto. Oh. You thought I was high? Well, what is it? He wondered what was bothering her aside the tanto, since she was just staring at him. Then he noticed he wasn't in a shirt. He just shin to his room to throw on a sleeveless black sweater. Sasuke giggled with a blush as she just stood there. It was amusing to see his reaction to her in the kitchen, then the view she got. She didn't know what it was about seeing him shirtless that made her all giggly and blush a lot. Naruto came back into the kitchen a bit embarrassed and settled with just asking what she was doing. Well, I had a plan. Kinda ruined it since I'm not as well versed in the kitchen as you. She pouted playfully. Oh, my Sasuke-chan, try to do some cooking? He said, teasing and hugging her from behind her. She knew he was teasing her since she got playful first, but something about being called his, and having seen him shirtless on top of this hug. She was blushing redder than a tomato. Never has he hugged her this way, and she actually really liked it. Seemed that today was a day of firsts for real. So, what was this plan of yours? Naruto placed his chin down onto her shoulder, which she responded by leaning her head against his so their cheeks connected, and raised her right hand to the right side of his head, rubbing her fingers through his hair, and had her left hand on his arms around her stomach. She sighed in bliss of the warmth he gave off and being held by him. I wanted to make you breakfast for the first time, especially since it's your birthday. He didn't say it, but he really liked her fingers running and playing with his hair as well as just holding her in his arms. For both of them, something just felt right, but they didn't know what something was. Oh, I see. I really appreciate it, Sasuke-chan. He hugged tighter and rocked her side to side slowly. They stood there together for 10 minutes and didn't even realize it. They'd just been lost in each other, that the passing of time hadn't clicked. He slowly let her go, but the both at the same time sighed in disappointment that their embrace had ended. They simultaneously blushed as they realized that the other noticed their disappointment in it ending, and then blushed even more on realizing that the other had been disappointed and it wasn't only one way. Naru? I don't know. I don't either. They just stood there a bit in silence thinking about what happened, what it could mean, but were drawing blanks. You know? Never mind. No, wait. What is it? Sasuke said desperately, hoping it was something but didn't know quite what. Well, it's just that. Well, how do I say this? You're my best friend, Sasuke-chan, and you're mine too. Yeah, and like. Well. What if what? Sasuke and Naruto subconsciously stepped closer together. They looked each other in the eye. What if we were more? Yes, absolutely yes. 1,000 times yes. She jumped up into his arms and they enveloped each other in a hug again. They were smiling so wide and were both so happy. They were both lost in each other and nothing else mattered to them. Today really would be a day of firsts. Their first breakfast as a couple, his first birthday as a couple, and so on. So where did you get the idea of cooking for me? Naruto said, laughing as they were still hugging. Because you always cook eggs and bacon for breakfast and made me pancakes with a side of dango for my birthday. Naruto laughed, but she backed off, then lunged him in the chest only to then get back in the hug. Naruto got confused by her changes in action but didn't mind much as he was happy at the moment. Don't make fun of me, she pouted after hitting him. Hey, I found it cute, okay, but as much as I like this right now, if we just stay here, we're going to be late. Academy. So students, we've had you guys practice form for a while now we're going to start the spars. Everyone got excited and prepared themselves for the matchups on who'd get who. Whenever Naruto or Sasuke's eyes met, they'd have blushed slightly. Shikamaru noticed. So something's happened between them. Did they finally admit it? About damn time. Troublesome. First matchup will be Shikamaru and Choji. Troublesome, Shikamaru muttered before going to the ring. Shikamaru versus Choji. The two stood apart from each other and got in a stance to fight. Choji was bigger and had the strength while Shikamaru was smaller and more nimble. It would be an interesting pairing if Shikamaru wasn't so lazy. Upon the announcement of the match's start, he simply walked out of the ring, which was an automatic loss since the goal was either knockout or force the other out the ring. Well, he left the ring. Naruto laughed internally at that and gave Shikamaru a look that expressed what he thought. Shikamaru gave a knowing look back which told Naruto that it was just too troublesome. Ino versus Sakura. Ino and Sakura both got ready for the match to begin. Neither one were great fighters but were going to try their best. The match was signaled to begin and they both ran to each other. Damn, they're slow, Naruto thought as he watched. Sakura was winding up a wide punch and it would be so easy to block or even counter and force her to the ground, but Ino didn't seem to react quick enough and took it to the face. Ino winded up the same punch and hit her the same way. Both jumped away. Damn. You're fast, Sakura said. Crowd. HUH. Naruto said. Everyone around him laughed as they also agreed with his stupor. In no means was it a high-level fight, but everybody knew they were the weakest of the class in Taijutsu. Sasuke giggled the most as she was glad to see Naruto's spirits being better and that he seemed to get a laugh out of the whole class, even if it was intentional. Ino versus Sakura. Yeah, you're strong, Ino said in response to Sakura. Naruto couldn't take it. That was it. He walked around mumbling something and the class again laughed. The two girls charged each other again. This time both had a punch wound up and they hit each other at the same time. They started trying to hit each other but neither one blocked or dodged. They just stood there playing a game of punchies practically. They backed off panting heavily, eyeing the other. They saw the other as a formidable foe and were trying to figure out what to do. Finally a plan was formed. They ran to each other and dove to each other's right side hoping to tackle the other, but since they aimed for the right side of the other, they both missed and both landed outside the ring. The match ended in a draw. Alright, it's a draw. Next is Kiba versus Naruto. Please enter the ring, Iruka said. Naruto versus Kiba. Man, when I beat your ass, two things will happen. 1. Everyone will know that I am the best. 2. Sasuke will go on a date with me. Kiba boasted out loud. Man, Just shut up already, Naruto said. What are you so mad about, huh? Would you think you've actually got a chance against me? If only you knew the truth of my strength, Naruto thought. You think she'll ever see you? Fool, I am the alpha here. She'll be with me. I am the strongest and you will never beat me. Naruto started to really get annoyed. On and on he went about being the strongest. How he'd win Sasuke over. It began to piss him off the more he went on. Crowd. Kiba might want to mind his tongue. Shikamaru said. What do you mean? Naruto looks calm, Sasuke said as she was next to Shikamaru. Naruto, huh, he said with a smile. I mean Naruto. It's okay. I've been wondering how long it'd take the two of you. However, now Kiba might want to mind his tongue even more than. Why so? Because, say anything about Naruto, he's okay, but he's always been protective of you. He starts blabbering about you, then Naruto might get angered. And since you guys are a thing now, oh, this might not end well for Kiba. Nope. Troublesome. Naruto versus Kiba. So the sooner you lose, the sooner I can take Sasuke, Kiba said, charging at Naruto. He swung, but Naruto had been looking down, so he figured it would be easy. Naruto dodged with extreme ease. When he passed Naruto, the air felt so cold. He felt something dark emanating from him. He turned around and Naruto slowly looked up at him. His eyes red with a black slit, his whisker marks more pronounced. You look surprised? I thought you were gonna kick my ass, Naruto said in a dark voice. Kiba tried again but missed. He used his momentum to try a spinning kick but missed again. Come on now. I thought you were the best. What happened? Kiba tried more and more. He couldn't land a single strike. Crowd. Naru. No, Sasuke said. What's happened to him? Shikamaru asked. I don't know what it is exactly, but he's told me that there's something inside him that feeds off his negative emotions like anger and sadness and tries manipulating him through it. This is the result. His demeanor changes and he'll get aggressive and ruthless. You've seen it before. Once 11 people ended up dead when it happened. What? He was attacked and one person grabbed me. When he saw that, he lost it and killed them. Please don't think him in a different way now. He suffers all the time and never can be happy. I hate it. Every time he starts to be happy, something always gets in the way, she said with tears forming in her eyes. I won't. He's my friend and I will support him any way I can. He's always supported me and he's a good guy, no matter how troublesome he is. Sasuke giggled. Yeah, he is. Wait. Kiba's gonna die. No, I trust Naruto. Naruto versus Kiba. Naruto looked onto Kiba, who was on the ground after falling, with disgust and disappointment. This was the performance he put up after boasting for so long. You aren't strong, Kiba. You're weak. Pathetic. Shut up, Kiba growled. He got up to try to punch Naruto, but didn't get the chance. He was hit real hard in the gut. He recoiled and clucked his stomach to then be kicked in the face. Kiba got spun around due to that and Naruto kicked the inside of his knee in, making him fall to his knees. Look at that. That wannabe bowing before me. You're nothing but a pup. Naruto gave a hard right punch and knocked Kiba out cold. Everyone looked on in shock. What just happened? This was the kid that always kept to himself, the one that was always clowned on. Then again, they were always warned of him. They looked at him in fear at his new appearance. The eyes petrified most, and his voice caused many to cower in fear. Naruto, you better calm down, or what? You'll send your hateful glares at me again? You'll despise my existence again? What the hell are you going to do? Know what? I know what I'm going to do. Naruto clenched his fists and red chakra started to bubble of his hand, then took shape of a kunai. He began taking steps towards Iruka, who was in so much fear at the killing intent being released from Naruto. Suddenly a hand was placed on Naruto's shoulder and he snapped around quickly to see who dared stop him. It was Sasuke. Naruto, that's enough. This isn't true, Sasuke said calmly in a soothing voice. She placed her right hand on his cheek and he closes his eyes as she rubbed the whisker marks with her thumb. He leaned into her hand and placed his own hand over hers. The kunai made of chakra slowly disappeared. The air no longer felt cold and his whisker marks became less pronounced until they went back to normal. He opened his eyes again to show that they were normal. There you are, she said, smiling at him. Lord Third was right. He can tame him, Kakashi said as he was watching from the distance. He had been tasked to watch over Naruto, especially now since the academy would start the fighting and that could lead to exactly what just happened. Kakashi shunned into the ring and before anyone could say or do anything, grabbed Naruto and Sasuke and shinned away. Sensei, what do we do now? Asked a student. Hokage office. Kakashi told Hiruzen of what happened and Naruto and Sasuke just stood behind Kakashi. Sasuke was holding on to Naruto's right arm while they waited. Kakashi then stepped aside, presenting the two. Well, Naruto, You'd done well not to cause an incident in a few years. You also seem to have a more control this time as you didn't kill the Inuzuka until you were met with Iruka. I understand the anger you had for him and I see why you steered out of control. I'm proud that you've shown growth, Naruto-kun. I feel that if Iruka not said anything then you would have calmed and went to normal. You just heard the wrong voice at the wrong time. Naruto nodded and was glad that he wasn't in some kind of trouble. Sasuke seemed to be relieved as well as she seemed to relax more and not hold him so vigorously. Sasuke, I'm proud that you stepped forward and managed to help calm Naruto-kun before he did anything he would regret. Hiruzen said with a smile. Thank you, but it's nothing. I know he didn't mean to have that happen. He just needs to be reminded of who he is sometimes, she said with a light chuckle. Well, after today you two will no longer be in the academy. Huh? Naruto said. What? Sasuke said. Hiruzen laughed. Let me finish. You two are hereby genin. You've got the skills and knowledge for it. But you won't be doing any missions until the rest of the class graduates so you can get one more to have a team of 3. Both of them sighed in relief which made both Kakashi and Hiruzen laugh. Kakashi will be your Jonin sensei. With that they were now genin and given their Leaf Village headbands and made shinobi of Konoha. That's the end guys. If you enjoyed then make sure to leave a comment. This is Chaos Shinobi signing off.